All right, welcome everyone to session 2 of Mercy Care's Connections Conference. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Aisha to introduce our presenter.
Hi everyone, my name is Aisha Owens and I'm the Children's Behavioral Health Advocate with Mercy Care. This session will be going over nutrition tips and tricks for healthy eating, such as healthy snacking or healthy substitutes. Jacquie Bordonaro has worked at Copa Health for 5.5 years as the Associate Director of Health and Wellness and worked in behavioral health since 2012. She has a bachelor's degree in public health from Northern Arizona University and is a certified yoga instructor. Her number one passion is to help others improve their lives through health and wellness. I'd like to go ahead and turn over the call to you, Jacquie.
Thank you so much, Aisha. I do work for Copa Health, and I am the Associate Director of Health and Wellness, like was already stated. My full name is Jacqueline, but I go by Jackie. And I'm really, really glad to be here today. And I hope that I can show you that healthy eating is not as hard as we may think it is. So today, I hope that you're going to learn how to make small changes that turn into healthy habits. Also learning what to cut back on to improve your overall health. And then I've got a lot of tips and tricks for healthy eating. So when we start off making a change, we have to make small changes. I always talk to everyone about starting small instead of looking at the whole big picture, because we do have a big picture goal. But the small changes are what turn into our healthy lifestyle habits. So by making a small change, it plays a part in the big change you're trying to make, especially when it comes to anything in life. But today we're focusing on healthy eating, so it's also important in that aspect as well. So let's hop right in. The first small change that you can make for yourself is to eat less added sugar. So we all love sugar. I mean, I feel like most people have a sweet tooth, but sometimes we can eat too much of it, and too much of anything is not good for us. So we want to keep in moderation. So that's why it's eating less added sugar. So sugar is found naturally in the food, some of the food and drinks you may already eat. So fruit has natural sugar in it, and so does milk. Those are two examples. But what we're talking about cutting back on are sugars added to foods and other beverages, because they offer no nutritional value. And they only give a food or a drink a sweet taste. So something like cookies or any baked goods, soda, that all has added sugar in it. So we want to work on eating less of that. And I'm gonna hop in here to let you know about some ways we can do that. And these would be small changes you can make. So over here, we've got a nice picture of a lovely smoothie that looks so refreshing, especially since it's getting really, really hot in Arizona. So that's one thing you can do, is you can make your own smoothie with frozen fruit, low-fat milk, and yogurt in the place of ice cream. So all you need is a blender, some fruit, low-fat milk, and yogurt, and there you go. You got yourself a nice, healthy, refreshing fruit smoothie. And then also, another thing that we can do to have less added sugar is switching from like a flavored fruit yogurt to just a plain yogurt or a plain Greek yogurt, and then you add your own fresh fruit, frozen fruit, canned fruit. So I actually started doing this a couple of years ago because I wanted to cut back on some of my sugars. So I started doing plain Greek yogurt and adding my own fruit and granola to it. And I think it tastes better than the sweetened ones. So it can be done. And then also another tip would be to stop buying the flavored oatmeal and to get regular oatmeal, and you flavor it yourself by adding cinnamon, dried fruit, like raisins, for example. You could even add, if you're really like sweet stuff, you can add a little, tablespoon of brown sugar. I really like cinnamon. That's my favorite. If you're a big fruit juice drinker or like fruit punch drink, you can substitute that and drink 100% fruit juice, or even do a flavored water or other fruit flavored drinks. You can even flavor water yourself with citrus, cucumber, berries. So I know I have a friend who makes her ice cubes with frozen fruit in them, and then she puts those in her water, and then it melts throughout the day, and the water's flavored throughout the entire day. Also, cut back on energy and sports drinks for more water and things that I just talked about. So I don't know, Laura, is there anybody have any questions yet after going over this first small change of cutting back on added sugars?
I'm monitoring the chat, but I'm not seeing anything come in at this point, but I'll let you know.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'm gonna stop between each small change and just make sure that you guys don't have any questions or comments. Alrighty. So our next small change that we could do is eating less salt. Most Americans, we eat too much salt. There's a lot of sodium in the foods that we eat, especially processed foods. I know for myself, I like my food to have a lot of flavor, so salt is a big flavoring tool. But also, too much of it is not good. So the sodium in salt plays a role in high blood pressure, which is also known as hypertension, which you may have heard your doctor use that term. So something good to remember is the DASH diet, which these are dietary approaches to stop hypertension. And that's what the DASH diet is, which everything that I'm going through today follows along with the DASH diet. And the DASH diet is just it's a way to eat healthy. It's not one of those diet fads that are always constantly coming out. The American Medical Association is one of the many who report this as the best diet out there, because it's not a fad diet. It's just about eating healthier and cutting back on things like I'm talking about today. All right, we're
Jackie,
gonna pop it.
we got.
Yeah.
So the question was, is it better to make smoothies with juice and ice and fruit, or is it better to add, is it healthier with juice or with yogurt?
So what the yogurt does is the yogurt, it can add a little, some yogurts have protein in it, so it can add a little bit of protein and it makes it thicker. So, you know, when you make a smoothie, usually ice cream is added to the smoothie to give it more of that smoothie rather than a juice. So that's why we use the yogurt. So hopefully that answers that question. Yeah, of course. Okay. So here are some tips and tricks. I've got lots of these today to cut back and eat less salt in your diet. So you want to focus on more fresh foods, you know, because our processed foods are what tend to have a lot of sodium in them. You also want to cook at home more often, then you know what you're putting in your food. If you're going out to eat a lot, someone's making your food for you. We don't know like what processed foods they're using. We just don't know what's in it, to be honest. So cooking at home helps cut back on that. Like I said about the fresh foods, eat processed and prepared foods less often. And then try new flavors and skip the salt. So this is something I can kind of attest to, I've experimented with over time. I tend to use a lot of garlic, onion, and like pepper. And sometimes I don't even use like fresh onion or fresh garlic. I use the powders, like garlic powder, onion powder, and then I like ground pepper. And then they also have a lot of low sodium spices, like Mrs. Dash has some. So those are also good you can experiment with. Another thing that you can do is make sure you're looking at food labels when you do buy anything processed, and maybe try and pick the option that has less sodium in it. So, for example, when getting canned foods, whether it's vegetables, beans, they do have a lot of canned foods now that say no salt added on them. I usually, if I'm buying canned foods, I usually tend to buy those with the no salt added on there. So that's just an example. And then you always want to use caution with condiments. You know, dressings, things like that, those can have a lot of sodium in them too. So it's just about observing and seeing what's in the things that we're buying. I saw some stuff pop up in the chat.
Jackie, this is Tara. I do have one person that has a question he wants to ask you verbally, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute him. Alan, go ahead and ask your question.
Well, between regular sugars and the sugar substitutes, I've got both, but I'm kind of scared health-wise of how the sugar-free substitutes will not just taste, but will affect my human system.
So are you, Alan, talking about what non-sugar substitutes are you specifically speaking about?
I'm going to bring it to you. I'm going to try to tell you. Give me 1 minute.
And while he's looking for that, there's another question that came in. There are little fruit cups in plastic that say no sugar added. Are these healthy?
Say that one more time, Laura. I'm sorry. It kind of cut out a little bit.
No worries. There are little fruit cups in plastic that say no sugar added. Are these healthy?
Yeah, that's a good option to do. So, for example, too, like applesauce. I always buy the applesauces with the no sugar added, because if no sugar's added, then the sugars in there are just coming from the apples. So if you're buying like a fruit cup or something like that that says no sugar added, it's probably just natural sugars. That's great. Okay, should we wait for Alan?
Okay, right here.
Oh, okay.
I know that there's a Splenda.
Okay, yeah, so.
But I have I can't read too well even with the magnifier. 0-calorie sweetener with sativa, STEVIN, or EVIA.
Stevia.
Yeah, that thing. So those two I have in my house.
Yeah, like so are you looking to use these as sweeteners in like a drink, or because you can use those. There's research done on, you know, the different things that can do, but it's better than the added sugars. I know you said you have a concern about what it's going to do to your body. That's a little bit out of my scope, so you can also speak with your doctor about that as well, because they might know more research on those specific items.
Now, Miss Jackie, I don't like drinking faucet water, and I use flavored packets to put in my waters. Other than the knowledge of aspartame, which is supposed to be a real bad ingredient, what other do you suggest as a replacement if drinking flavored waters, or actually the flavored packets, is unhealthy for you?
So the flavored packets are going to be better for you than drinking soda and beverages with added sugar. So that's okay, Alan. And then another thing that I kind of spoke on a little bit is flavoring your water with fruits like lemon, lime, if you like those. You can even do berries. You can even make ice cubes with the berries in them. And then you can put the ice cubes in your water, and then as they melt, you get that berry flavor. So
Well,
those are ways you can naturally flavor your water.
Well, because I do make my orange juice and put them in the ice cube trays to have that to start up.
Yeah, that's a good idea as well, Alan. That's great.
Because like I said, regular water just doesn't fit well with me in the desert.
Yeah, a lot of people struggle with it. So you kind of have to play around to figure out what you like.
But I drink about 100 ounces every day, even though they say try to keep the 64, 8 ounces of 8 glasses. But no, I can't do citrus, lemon, limes, pineapple. I can't do citrus in my system, not even grapefruit, because of my
then you can try the berries. That would be berries. Also, I don't know if you like cucumber. Cucumber water is good as well, if you can't do citrus. Okay. So I would try doing berries, like any berries that you like. And then if you like cucumber, I would try that as well. It's very refreshing.
Well, I've seen your smoothies up on the screen, and I don't have a mixer as of yet, but I'm trying to figure out how would I be able to adjust that in, because generally I only eat one meal, and that's at dinner time. And I know that's not healthy and stuff, but no, I need something to settle my emotions, not just settle my stomach.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
So I'm trying to figure out other ways, other measures.
Yeah, and hopefully you can try out some of those new measures I just mentioned for flavoring the water, since you can't do the citrus. So that would be a new small change to try for yourself. Okay, Alan?
All right, because I don't do no salt, pepper. Do a little cinnamon, but that's all. But I thank you for your time, and I'll continue listening. Go ahead. Take it away, Miss Jackie.
Awesome.
Thank you, Alan. And thank you, Jackie.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to help and answer any questions as we go along.
We do have another question related to the sodium. So how can food be flavorful without much sodium? So I know you spoke about using some low sodium spices like Mrs. Dash. Any other suggestions?
You know what? Cooking, it's all about what flavors you like. So it's about experimenting with the flavors. Like I talked about earlier, I noticed I really like onion and garlic. Like those are big flavors that I like. So I start using those a lot. You also have rosemary, thyme, oregano. There's so many herbs and spices that you can try out. It's trial and error sometimes. Sometimes you might try something and you don't like it. Like I also like curry too. That's another flavor that you can cook with as well. So it's about figuring out what you like. Check out the spice aisle at your grocery store.
Perfect. Thank you.
That question. Did that answer it for that person?
Thank you. I will double check.
Okay.
And then another question is, do you recommend plant-based products to be added to our diet gradually to help us on a path to eating better?
So it's all dieting can tend to be like a little bit, there's all this stuff out there. Like I talked about fad diets, plant-based, things like that. The things I'm talking about today are follow the DASH diet, which is just about eating healthier in general. I don't know specifics on certain diets, such as like a plant-based diet or keto diet or things like that. I don't really want to get into all the fad diets because there's always not a lot of research around those yet. So I'm focusing mainly on the DASH diet today. But plant-based, it is good. It's a good thing. So I don't think there's anything negative about it. It's personal preference. All right. Any more questions for me?
There's one in the chat about essential oils in water. What do you think about putting essential oils into water?
I don't want to really get into giving my opinions on anything. I want to stick more to what's out there and what's known. Essential oils, I do know that some of them you can ingest and some of them you can't. So if you're going to put essential oils in your water, you want to make sure it's one that's ingestible, because some are only topical. So you want to pay attention to that. And then with essential oils as well, I know that if you're going to utilize any of them, which they're great, I do diffuse essential oils often. You want to use an essential oil that's 100% therapeutic grade so that there's no additives in it. And if you search online, just look for that. If you go to like a local store like Sprouts, you can get someone to help you find the ones that are 100% therapeutic grade. So that's my little blurb on essential oils. Hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All righty, I'm gonna go to our next small change. So healthy snacking. I am a big snacker. I think a lot of people are. Snacking is fun. There's always fun snacks. So we're gonna talk about how that they can be healthy. So snacks can fit into a healthy eating plan, and they can energy boost in between your meals. So, eating throughout the day continues to provide you energy. You want to choose nutritious foods we have over here this picture of the My Plate. So these are our nutritious food groups. We've got fruits, whole grains, vegetables, protein, dairy. So you want to stick to those food groups, and it gives you a variety, and then it reduces the sources of empty calories and added sugars, which we're trying to cut back on. So we're going to hop into some healthy snacking examples for you guys. Okay, don't these look like so yummy, like all of these colors in these pictures? I like the variety. So you can make a dip using low-fat cottage cheese or Greek yogurt for raw vegetables. For myself, a couple years ago, I stopped using sour cream to make my dip for my raw veggies, and I make my own Greek yogurt dip now. Another dip that you can use with raw veggies is hummus. You can look up how to make your own, but they also, you can buy hummus from your local grocery store. Then we have apples. You can slice up an apple and eat it with a tablespoon of your favorite type of nut butter. So that could be peanut butter, almond butter, and then you have sunflower seed butter. There's all kinds out there. So it's about what you like, what tastes good to you. And then we've got, you can top graham crackers also with a nut or seed butter, and then you could dunk them in like a low-fat vanilla yogurt to suffice your sweet tooth. You could also mix 3 cups of aired popcorn, and then you can add grated cheese or dried spices to it. So popcorn can be a healthy snack, so you want to buy the ones that, don't have any butter and things like that. You could add your own stuff to them. You could also cut up fruit and make kebabs like this picture over here. If you're into being creative with food and doing that, that's great. That's not really my cup of tea. If I'm going to get creative with my fruit, I chop it up and make myself like a fruit salad. But I think the kebabs are fun. Like I said, if that's something you're into. All right. So those are just some healthy snacking ideas.
Thank you. And we do have one question that came through that I'm seeing. So as we're seeing, CBD is starting to be added into human foods and drinks. How can we be more aware so that we do not consume these substances if we choose that?
So they're worried about, I just want to clarify, they're worried about CBD being in the foods that they're eating. Okay, so what you want to do if you want to avoid that, you just want to check your food labels on your, like what you're buying, how we talked about earlier. You want to look at the food labels, the ingredients, what's in what you're buying. That would be the best way to avoid something like that. I hope that answers that question.
Thank you.
Yeah, and they have to tell you what's in your food, so just make sure you're being observant. All righty. Do we have any more, Tara, before I move on?
Just one about the PowerPoint. Yes, the presentation will be made available after this. And just a couple comments. So tomatoes and some beans seem to make it harder to lose weight. Should you avoid them?
Did they say beans? Okay, so beans can be healthy, and as far as gaining weight from that, it's about portion sizing, which I'll kind of talk about a little bit. So I'm going to talk about portion sizing with actually this stuff that we're going to talk about next. So our small change number 4 is eating healthy on the run. So a lot of people will eat out a lot because, you know, we're looking for fast, easy, good tasting food that fits into our busy lifestyles. Like maybe we feel like we don't have time, so we just need to pick something up. So, you know, carry out, food court. If you're at work, there's like office cafeterias sometimes, even sit down restaurants. And then something that I didn't put on here, but that I want to mention too, is like convenience stores. So like quick 7-Eleven, Circle K, all of those. But there's smart choices everywhere, which we're going to tap into. So healthy on the run, we've got our tips and tricks. So when you go out to eat at a sit-down restaurant, sometimes they're going to give you bread or chips with your meal. So one change you could make is just decline that and say that you don't want any bread or chips before your meal. When you're out, maybe ordering food somewhere, they have you know, a regular size, like a mega size, and then sometimes there's child size portions. So you could always go for the smaller portions for yourself instead of supersizing it. You can choose a salad with grilled chicken or seafood as your main course, which, like, doesn't this salad look phenomenal over here? I found a really nice, colorful, good-looking salad. So you could do that as your main meal, as long as you add a protein to it, like chicken or seafood. You can ask for your sauces, dressings, and toppings to be served on the side. So I know, like, sometimes when I get a salad, I'll order my dressing on the side because sometimes they douse it and they put way too much dressing on it. And if you're trying to cut back on some of that, you want to put it on yourself. So then we have portable, non-perishable foods that you can put in your purse, your backpack, like for an on-the-run meal. So I will take a lot of mixed nuts with me whenever I'm out and about, so that if I get hungry, I have something to snack on and I'm not stopping somewhere and picking something up. So, or like if you're gonna stop at a gas station to get some type of food there, they do have a lot of healthy options now. I've noticed they do have like nuts or mixed nuts. I've noticed they also have like fresh fruit cups. I've also seen like little nut cheese fruit boxes as well. So those are, you know, there are healthy options there now versus picking up just your regular bag of chips or, you know, a candy bar. And the thing about you know, having any mixed nuts or fruits, it's a healthy fat. It's a little higher in calories, so it's going to make you feel full, but it's healthier for you than eating something like chips, where you're going to get hungry again in a little while. And then also another thing to do is to choose a side of fruit or a side salad instead of French fries. So you have that option as well. It's just about deciding to make that small change for yourself. All right. How are we looking on questions or comments?
Good. No, this is great. We have one additional question. So what do you think of yogurt-covered foods like nuts or fruits?
You know what? I think that if you look at the food label, it might have a little bit more sugar in it because usually that yogurt is flavored. But that's going to be a healthier option than getting a bag of M&Ms. So you have to kind of like look at it that way. It's a small change. It's a step towards something healthier. That's how you can view it for yourself. It doesn't need to be so regimented. It's about making like little changes. But again, you can look at the food label and you can see how much sugar is in that, because that's what that yogurt covering is. It sweetens it, gives it a little bit of like sweetness. But I think it's a good choice because it's not candy. It's not as processed. So, all right. Anything else for me, Tara?
Not right now. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, small change number 5. This is a hard one for people, enjoying more fruits and vegetables. So building a healthy plate is easy when you can look at what you're eating, make half of it fruit, half of it vegetables, like during a meal. It's a great way to add color, flavor, and then fruits and vegetables have vitamins, minerals, and fiber, which are all things that we need in our body. So your ultimate goal, it doesn't have to be this right away, but the ultimate goal would be to make 2 cups of fruit and 2.5 cups of vegetables your daily goal. You might not be there yet. That might be tough for you. Maybe you don't like vegetables. Maybe you don't like fruits. But we're going to talk about some ways that you can add them in. So, pizza. I love pizza, you guys. I am a big pizza person. So what you can do when ordering a pizza to make it healthier for yourself is you can get vegetables as your toppings, whatever vegetables you like. So for me, vegetables, I do like mushrooms and onions. So I might have a mushroom and onion pizza. You can also ask them to do half the amount of cheese, so it's not as much cheese. So there are things you can do to make it a healthier option for yourself. It's keeping cut vegetables handy for mid-afternoon snacks. So when you buy your vegetables at the store, to make them readily available for you to eat, when you get home, chop them up how you want to eat them, and then they're ready to go, and you can just grab them when you're feeling a little hungry. That's what I try to do for myself. It's part of my grocery shopping regimen. I grocery shop, and then when I get home, I cut up my veggies or my fruits and prepare them. Another good way to add fruit into your daily regimen for eating would be to include it in your breakfast. So you can add fruit, any type of fruit that you like, to a cold cereal or hot cereal like oatmeal or cream of wheat. You can also add it, like we talked about earlier, to your yogurt, making yourself your own little parfait. Or if you like waffles, you can top your waffles with some fruit. That's a great way to add fruit into your daily meals. I have a little bit harder time with fruit than I do with veggies, so this is what I do for myself. I add fruit to my breakfast. Another good thing to add fruit is make it your dessert. Fruit is sweet. It will get your sweet tooth. So if you're craving ice cream or chocolate or whatever it may be, instead, before you go and hop and try that, have like, some strawberries or something of that nature. You can top your baked potato with beans and salsa. So this potato looks really good that I found a picture of. Looks very yummy with lots of veggies and stuff on it. So instead of, your normal baked potato with a bunch of sour cream and butter, and you can add some healthy stuff to it. And that's a good way to get some veggies in. You can add grated, shredded, or chopped vegetables, such as zucchini, spinach, eggplant, or carrots to pasta dishes. So if you're a pasta eater, you can always add in veggies to a pasta dish, and it can be whatever veggie you like. You can also add them, if you're into cooking and stuff, you can add them to your casseroles, curries, soups, stews. So that's a great thing that you can do to add in some vegetables. And another thing too that I just want to touch on is sometimes fruits and vegetables are hard for people to eat, like I said, because they're like, oh, I don't like vegetables, or I don't like fruit that much. You got to find at least one that you like. There's you know, there's got to be something that you may enjoy. So just eat that. And then also I know, oops, I'm sorry. For example, I'll give you an example. My dad, he does not really like vegetables. He's not a big vegetable person. So for a while he was making himself smoothies, and in the smoothie he was adding spinach, which is a good leafy green for yourself. And you don't really taste it when you add it into the smoothie. So that's something to keep in mind as well if you struggle with vegetables. You can add them into your smoothies. All right.
Perfect. So we do have another question. Oh, go ahead, Laura.
Is there a way to make your chopped veggies last longer? Sometimes they go bad if you cut them up. And I've seen like restaurants and stuff holding like carrots and celery and like bins of water, and I wasn't sure if that was like to make them last longer.
Yeah, so with carrots, you can put them in water because they'll get like dried out, you know? So it's good to keep carrots in water. I think the same with celery a little bit too. It depends on the fruit and vegetable, and fruits too, like berries, wash them, or any fruit really, wash it. If you're gonna rinse it and wash it before you eat it. Don't wash it and keep it in the fridge because it stays longer if you don't wash it all at once. So wash as you eat for fruit. I've noticed that over the years. But yeah, to keep vegetables fresh, like carrots and celery, you can keep them in water.
Thank you.
I've also seen too where people will take asparagus and they'll put it in like a cup of water, so the end of the asparagus is in water until they're ready to make it.
Thank you. We have another question. So I'm not allowed to eat nuts or citrus. How can I make or find options for replacements for these?
For citrus, well, I guess, what are you wanting to use the citrus for? Because if you can't eat citrus, you can't eat it, and that's okay. There's other fruits out there that you can eat. So I'm just curious what they're wanting to use the citrus for, like what they're wanting to have a substitute for.
Okay, we will definitely get that.
Okay, and then as far as the nuts go, so nuts is just another source of protein, and it's a healthy fat. So if you can't eat nuts, there's so many sources of protein out there. You know, you've got your chicken, your fish, and then why am I drawing a blank right now? Eggs. Eggs is another protein. So there's other proteins out there that you can get if you can't have nuts. And then as far as the healthy fats, there's other healthy fats too. Like you've got all like your oils that you can cook with, olive oil, canola oil, sunflower, or there's some grapeseed oil, and then also avocados. That's another healthy fat. So those would be your nut substitutes. All the nutritious things that nuts provide, you can get from other things.
Perfect. Thank you. And the next question is, what is a reasonable amount of the dairy food group that would include things like yogurt and milk? What is a reasonable amount of that for your everyday consumption?
Okay, so you know what? I don't know that off the top of my head, but choosemyplate.gov, if we could put that in the chat, they have on that website, which I had the picture, where is it? This guy right here, choosemyplate.gov. If you go there, it will tell you daily amounts of the different food groups that you should consume. And those are on average. So it might be different based on whatever medical conditions you have or whatever meds you're taking. Because you have to remember, sometimes I know that you guys can't have certain foods because they don't agree with certain medications and things like that. So like I said, whatever's on this choosemyplate.gov is on average. You may be different, but you can find that information at this website.
Thank you. And then is there any tips or tricks you have for making bagged salad last longer? So typically by the end of the week after we purchase them, that they're going bad.
So as far as bagged salad goes, I buy it when I'm going to eat it. So for example, if I go to the grocery store and I want a salad like within the next couple days, I'll buy it. But if I know I'm not going to have a meal with bagged salad within the next couple of days, I'm not going to buy it. So it's kind of hard. So you have to eat it within the first couple of days of buying it because it will get brown and, you know, not that great. So your best bet would just to be like one of those things, buy as you eat.
Great, thank you. And then back to the citrus. So using them in like juices or snacks or smoothies, is there another alternative to using that citrus? Something that may give the same feel, but can be used as a replacement?
Yeah, so smoothies, you can use any fruit. You don't need to use citrus. You know, berries are great in smoothies. I like bananas. I like berries and bananas for smoothies. Peaches, nectarines, like those aren't citrus. Those could also be used as well. So hopefully that answers. There's so many fruits. Even melons you could use in smoothies. It's whatever you have a taste for. And if you can't have citrus, you just can't have it. You gotta just start diving into other fruits.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And then we just have one more comment of sometimes I put a paper towel inside my bagged salad to help trap the moisture to help it last a little bit longer. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know with when I just buy lettuce, I do wrap it. But when I buy bagged salad, I don't want to cut it open yet until I'm going to use it. So that's why I didn't really have it there. But yeah, that's a good idea if you're going to open the bagged salad to do that. So thank you for whoever shared that information. Great job. I love that you guys have ideas that you're sharing too. That's so great. It's great to be able to share tips and tricks because, you know, we don't know everything. So awesome. Thank you. All right, this is a big one. Eating healthy on a budget. So lack of funds doesn't need to be a barrier to healthy eating. I came up with a little slogan. I don't know if someone else has ever came up with this, but you don't have to be wealthy to eat healthy. We're all on some type of budget for ourselves, right? You know, based on what we make or what our income is monthly. So budgeting, it's a big thing. And it doesn't deter you from eating healthy. So I'm going to go through some tips and tricks for this as well. So a big thing here is to cook more and eat out less. Eating out gets expensive. So if you can cook at home and, you know, make snacks for yourself at home, it's always a more affordable option. Another thing you want to do is decide how much to make or buy. So sometimes if you make a large batch by doubling a recipe, it saves you in the kitchen. And then extra portions that are left over can be used for lunches or meals later in the week. And even if you're not going to want to eat them later in the week, you can freeze them. So making larger portions can help too. I know that I do that for myself. I live alone, so when I make a meal, I make a large portion and I divvy it out through and eat it throughout the week. But that's because I don't mind leftovers. Some people don't like leftovers, so. You also want to plan what you're going to eat. So deciding on meals and snacks before you shop can save both time and money. So when I go to the grocery store, I make sure I have a list of what I need and I stick to it. And then that helps me stay within my budget. So I decide, okay, I'm gonna have you know, I'm gonna make my own burrito bowls this week. So I definitely need rice and beans and lettuce and tomatoes and onion. You know, so I'll get those things and then I know that meal is gonna last me a few days. And I'll need to pick something else to get for another meal. So I base my list on what I'm gonna eat for that week, what my meals are gonna be. That's a good way to save money. I know there's plenty of times I've gone to the grocery store without a list and been hungry. And then I'm putting stuff in the cart left and right. And then by the time I get to the register, I'm like, I did not want to spend this much. So it's good to kind of plan it out for yourself. It might take a little bit of extra time, but hey, it's going to save you some money. All right. So you also want to determine where to shop. Sometimes some stores have some really good deals, savings, things like that, coupons. So you kind of want to pay attention to that. I'm a I'm a big Fry's shopper. I feel like they always have a lot of good deals, and I get coupons, and I have my Fry's VIP card, you know, save money that way. And other stores have good deals too. So you just kind of gotta be on the lookout for what stores. I know that in the mail too, sometimes they send out ads like, hey, sale this week on strawberries, 2 for $5 or whatever it may be. You also want to shop foods that are in season. So fresh fruits and vegetables in season are usually on sale. So if you notice, like berries, it's a summer fruit, so a lot of the berries are on sale right now, you know, like your strawberries, blackberries, raspberries. I think melons too are like summer. Like there's a lot of fruit in the summer, so be on the lookout for that. And then we want to, here's where I'm going to kind of talk about portion sizing too. Eating too much of even lower cost foods and beverages can add up extra dollars in calories. So I kind of talked about it earlier. When you're eating like a bag of chips versus like a piece of fruit with peanut butter or something of that nature, the chips, you're going to feel hungry later, and because they're empty calories. So then you've got your fruit, which has a lot of fiber in it, and it's just more filling. It's going to last longer for you. And portion sizing, like on that choosemyplate.gov, there's a lot of information on portion sizing there. Like, you know, sometimes they'll be like, oh, a fist portion is a cup, right? So your hand is 1 cup. So there is stuff like that that you can find. And like I said, I think they have things on portion sizing on choosemyplate.gov. All right. Are we doing good on questions?
Yep, we do have just a couple more. So one of them is what's the best way to allocate money to spend on fruits, vegetables, meats, or fish when you're really on a tight budget? So do you have any suggestions on how to really make the most of your money? I know you mentioned shopping for foods that are in season because they're typically on sale, but how would we be able to do that when it comes to the protein side if we're looking to buy meat or fish?
So I noticed, this is just from personal experience, honestly. When I go look in the protein section, I sometimes will find stuff on sale. Like ground turkey will be like $3.99 a pound, or like whatever it may be. You kind of have to browse and see what's on sale as far as proteins go. I always buy whatever I can find that's on sale. And then like looking in the ads to see what might be on sale at that time. And then also another thing to remember too is when you're buying fresh fruits and vegetables, don't overbuy them because they'll go bad and then you're going to throw them out. So for me, I know that I only buy the amount of fruit and veggies that I can eat in a week because I know like they're not going to last more than a week. So I go to the grocery store every week to buy fresh fruit and vegetables and then every couple weeks, you know, I'll run out of stuff that's more non-perishable, you know? And then as far as meat goes and stuff too, you could buy, if it's on sale, buy what you can afford. Like, oh, this is on sale, maybe I can get more than one, because you can freeze your proteins. You can freeze your meats and your fishes and that stuff. Hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you. And then we have another question. So how can you make a healthy meal for a big family and also have healthy snacks for children that always seem to be hungry?
Oh my goodness, yes, children. They always want to eat, don't they? So because they're growing, so they need food. You know, a good thing to do, you can make trail mix. You can make your own trail mix. So that's a really good snack for kids. You know, it's the nuts. That's if they're not allergic. So this is just an option. You know, buy like mixed nuts and then raisins and, you know, put them together. I'll do for my trail mix that I make for myself, I buy, you know, like a cheap thing of mixed nuts. I buy raisins. I don't think raisins are very expensive. And then sometimes I'll even add in some dark chocolate because dark chocolate is better for you than milk chocolate. So that would be an option for kids. You know, applesauces are good as well. Trying to think here. That's what I can think of. The trail mix and the applesauces, because those are good healthy snacks for the kids. And popcorn too. Popcorn's another one as well. Popcorn's a good snack. And then as far as the meals go, like a big meal for a family, I'm going to talk about some foods that are nutritious but more affordable in the next slide. So hopefully that'll answer that question.
Perfect. Thank you. And then one more. So what about using a discount or low cost fruit and vegetable programs like $12 for 70 pounds of fruits and vegetables? Is that good to use, you know, if we're able to use them before they go bad?
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you have a family you're going to feed. Even if you've got friends and stuff that you can go in on that with and you guys can share it. Like I have a friend who does, it's something called Bountiful Basket, and she gets like a certain amount of like fruits and veggies, and then sometimes like she'll split some with me, you know, so you can do that too. Like go with a friend, you're going to get all this fresh food, you don't want it to go bad, you can go halves on it and share it, or other family members, things like that. Yeah, those are great options as well. If you know, they have different things like that. I just know Bountiful Baskets because that's what my friend uses.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Okay. This is great, you guys. Thank you for all of your interaction. I love it. Okay. All right, here's the, I knew it was the next slide. Focus on nutritious, low-cost foods. So you can make the most of your dollars by finding recipes that use the following ingredients. So beans, peas, lentils, those are always cheaper. Sweet or white potatoes, eggs, peanut butter, canned salmon, tuna, or crab meat, so any canned seafood. And then you've got grains such as oats, brown rice, barley, and quinoa. And frozen or canned fruits and vegetables also tend to be a little bit cheaper than fresh as well. And you can have those on hand, they're not going to go bad. I myself prefer frozen vegetables over canned vegetables, but I do always like to have some canned vegetables in my pantry just in case. You know, I run out of fresh and frozen, I've got canned. So this is really great to buy things like this. I really am on a budget too, you guys, and I do a lot of bean dishes with brown rice. I eat a lot of peanut butter. Peanut butter in my smoothies, peanut butter with my fruit. You can even do celery with peanut butter. Like I remember these things we used to make, the celery with peanut butter, and then you put little raisins. It's like called ants on a log. You could do that for kids too. That just popped in my head. So there are options, and if fresh fruits and veggies are just too expensive and the frozen and canned are more affordable for you, do that. You know, you have to find what works for you. It is not the same for everyone. Making your own healthy snacks. We talked about this a little bit. Convenience costs money at the end of the day. So I noticed at the grocery stores, they have a lot of pre-cut fruit. Like you can buy watermelon pre-cut, pineapple pre-cut. Instead of doing that, buy your own fruit and cut it yourself. That will save you money. I talked about this just a minute ago, making your own trail mix. Trail mix is expensive, and it is a good snack because it's filling and nutritious. So you can start a garden if you have the means to do so, and if that's something you enjoy, because you can grow your own herbs, spices, and you can even grow some of your own veggies. Visit a farmer's market, which we kind of touched on a little bit, like I talked about Bountiful Basket. But farmers markets too, they can have lower cost stuff as well. Lower cost fresh fruits and vegetables. And then this is a big one. We kind of touched on water a little bit, but quenching your thirst with water. Water is affordable. And I want you guys to understand the importance of water, especially right now. Like water is always it is so hot outside, so we can get dehydrated quicker. So why water is so important? Look at our body here. So our brain and our heart are composed 70% water, lungs 83% water, skin 64% water, and muscles and kidneys 79% water. I got this information from my supervisor. She's a family nurse practitioner, and she was going over the value of water on the body with me, and I found it so interesting. So we added it into this presentation because I wanted you guys to understand the importance of drinking water. Like, our body is made of water, so we need to constantly replenish it and make sure it's hydrated so that it can function properly. And and I also already kind of talked about how to flavor your waters naturally, or you can buy the packets too. I know sometimes those might not be healthy, especially if you're trying to stay away from like aspartame and things like that. All right, I just went over quite a bit of stuff. Do we have any questions that popped up?
Not yet.
Okay. All righty. All right, you guys. So I've gone over a lot of information today. I've given you a lot of tips and tricks, and I think you said that this PowerPoint's going to be available to them as well, correct? So that's great. So if you missed something, you're going to be able to go back and look at the presentation. But I just wanted to tell you guys, even though a lot of information was provided today, it's about making one little change at a time, one small change. So whether it involves making healthy choices while eating out, maybe you want to work on carrying healthy snacks with you on the go. Maybe you want to try and add more fruits and vegetables to your meals throughout the day. Whatever you want to work on, it's one thing at a time. So from what we did today, if you're up for it, I want you to make one change this week and go from there. So for me, for my change for the week, I am going to drink more water throughout the day because I am a water drinker, but it's getting hotter, so I feel like my body needs more water. So like, that's what I'm going to work on this week. See how I'm going to work on one thing, because there's so many things that you can change and so many things that you can do. But instead of looking at this huge, big picture, pick something that you want to work on. So I've got my little guy right here. I thought he was so cute to kind of motivate you and let you know that you can do it. It's not easy, but it's not hard. I just want to let you guys know that you can do it. You have the tools and you have the knowledge. A lot of you gave some good tips today, so you guys know what you're doing. All right. And then also, so you guys know as well, all of the information that I presented today is from the eatright.org Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. So all the information I got was from these Eat Right nutrition tips and handouts. So that can be found online as well. So even though you'll have the PowerPoint, you can even get more information from this website. I absolutely love it. They have so much good stuff as far as healthy eating goes. Thanks, Tara. All right. And then I have my slide for any questions people may have. I know that you guys asked a lot of questions throughout, and I'm really, really happy you guys did that. So, and even at this point too, if you guys have any of your own tips or tricks that you want to share with the group, I'd love for that too if you don't have questions.
And Jackie, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take back the presenter ball from you, because I'm going to re-share how to ask questions and chat in case anybody is having any trouble with that.
That sounds great, Laura.
Ball back.
Okay.
Tara, I think I need you to do it for me.
No problem. And while we are getting that switched, I do see that we have a couple people with their hands raised. So Emily, I'll start with you. I've unmuted you. Do you want to go ahead and ask Jackie your question?
I already did. I didn't realize that my hand was raised.
No problem. I'm glad you got your question answered. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I see Chelsea, do you have a question still as well? I've unmuted your line.
I think that was an accident. I didn't mean to raise my hand.
No problem. I'm glad you are enjoying the presentation. Thank you. All right, and then I see Dorothy. Dorothy, do you have a question for us? Dorothy Thompson?
I see one from Heather in here about what are your thoughts on caffeine?
Oh, okay. So Heather, I don't, as far as caffeine goes, you know, that again is out of my scope. You'll want to talk to your doctor about that. But like I talked about earlier, is moderation in anything. So when we talked about eating less sugar, eating less salt, so things are okay to have. It's all about moderation and how much you're consuming. So if you're having like 5 cups of coffee a day, you know, and you're feeling jittery and anxious and your heart's racing, then maybe that's a little too much and maybe you cut back. But you know, it's all I can say about that is moderation when it comes to caffeine. And then you can also, if you're concerned about that too, you can talk to your doctor.
Yeah. I see some tips and tricks in here. So I see eating water with higher, or eating foods with higher water content help me stay hydrated longer. There was a question on intermittent fasting. What are your thoughts on intermittent fasting?
Okay, so intermittent fasting is another kind of fad thing. It works for some people. It doesn't work for others. I don't really want to give a whole lot of thoughts and opinions. I want to stick to more to facts. So intermittent fasting can work. I'd suggest you do your research, and I suggest that you also speak with your primary care provider about their thoughts on it based on your medical health history, because a lot of things are based on people individually. So sometimes intermittent fasting may work for one individual, but maybe it's not appropriate or healthy for another individual.
I feel like a lot of people struggle with the mind-body connection of recognizing what your body needs versus what it desires due to a variety of life experiences, perhaps poverty, eating disorders, etc. What tips would you recommend to be more specific around moderation and listening to what your body needs?
Yeah, so there's a difference always between what our body needs and what our body craves. And a lot of that tends to be a mindset and about changing that mindset. You know, there's a lot that goes into play with what this individual is talking about. You know, sometimes it may take some behavioral therapies, you know, to get past some of those things. And as far as portion and moderation go, I could give one example of, instead of eating from a bag of popcorn, you pour the popcorn into a bowl for yourself and you only have that much, and you put the bag of popcorn away and you say, I'm only going to have this much popcorn right now. And then then you also have the bag still left, so you're not eating it all at once, and then that saves money in turn. So, you know, there's so much that goes into play with that. And if you've struggled with eating disorders, or you still are, I also suggest reaching out to your, you know, any of your healthcare providers for extra support and or therapy.
Awesome. Well, that's, I think, all the time we have for questions. And thank you all for attending. We really enjoyed you guys all attending. So have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you more in the week.